Hey everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Parent Like an Athlete. My name is Otis,
I'm Gemma.
and we are reading Reddit stories and reacting to those stories in a hopefully humorous and entertaining and informational kind of way. Educational, I guess is the word I was looking for. Yeah. So we're going to have a little fun with this. We've got 6 stories for you all today. I'm actually not going to preview those stories. What I'm going to do is just let you know if you want to see previews of them, you can check out the chapters in YouTube. So this first one is really good, y'all. I think it's really good. I'm gonna let Gemma read it.
My husband, 32, and I, 32, have a 1-year-old daughter. I'm currently a stay-at-home mom and I am my child's primary caregiver. Our breastfeeding journey was not a success, so we turned to bottle feeding, which initially left me feeling inadequate as well as deeply sad about losing that opportunity to bond with her. The silver lining was that it allowed my husband and I to take shifts in her care and give me some much needed rest, as I had serious health concerns postpartum. But here we are at the 1-year mark, and it seems like she prefers her dad to me. I take care of her all day long, and her dad takes over in the evening when he's done with his work. He works from home and is an involved parent, but I am still the one actively thinking about parenting, not to mention researching, problem solving, and doing most of the activities that come with day-to-day parenting, and taking care of her 75% of the time. And yet she says dada, but never mama, and I know she can say it because she said it once, but repeated prompts after that weren't successful. I feel stupid writing this, as if I'm complaining about her, which is not my intention. I play with her all day long and she's a bundle of laughs and silliness and is happy with me. But the moment Dada enters the room, I might as well be the wall. She pushes me away and he is all she can see, even though he is stricter as a parent and I am the more comforting and empathetic one. Now, as she is becoming a toddler, her preference for him is even more obvious. Taking her away from Dada leads to a meltdown and I feel more inadequate than ever. Becoming a stay-at-home mom temporarily was my choice and it was not an easy one. I was brought up by a nanny as mom and dad both worked full-time, and I remember feeling quite alone as a kid and desperately wanting attention from my parents. I did not want that for my child. But now I feel I've dedicated myself to her and it doesn't matter to her if I'm around or not, which I know isn't true, but that's how it feels. I know this is a 1-year-old who is not intentionally blowing me off, but I can't help feeling bad. I've spoken to my husband about this, and he says it's normal for girl children to prefer fathers, and that I'm reading more into it than there is because of my insecurities. I know parenthood is not a competition and that we are all lucky to be part of a loving whole family, but I need help dealing with this nagging discontent that my kid likes her father better. I know you've got a lot of thoughts on this.
Oh yes, yes, I've got so many thoughts. Um, yeah, hmm, where do I start here? I guess my thought is, what does she want to happen from this? I guess maybe the hope is daughter stops preferring dad. I don't know what like she's looking to get out of it, but
Yeah, I don't know if she wants to be the favorite or if she wants just equal favoritism.
yeah. So this is the funny thing. There is no such thing as true equality. I mean, I think when you think about equality, we're always striving for something that looks equal, feels fair, or whatever. But there's really never like equilibrium. I feel like the earth rotates at a different speed, like different like every year. Like it's not nothing's ever exactly the same. And in this case, excuse me, in this case, it seems like mom is looking to there's like a bit of a quid pro quo involved where mom is kind of trying to figure out, well, why is it that the daughter likes my dad, her dad more when I spend all this time with her. I'm more nurturing, and it's like this really interesting dynamic that's playing out with between her and her daughter that I think it happens with adults and other adults all the time, where people kind of assume that if you put in a lot of effort and work really hard on, being amenable to this other person's desires and needs, that somehow that person's going to like you even more. You're going to, be great friends forever. And, the reality is, like, people have all kinds of reasons for liking one person more than the other. So if I'm mom, I'm really just like, I would be super pumped that my daughter has such excitement for, her father when he comes home. I think it's great that when he comes, or I guess he works from home. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
So he works from home, but he's like focused on work for most of the day, and then the last part of the day he takes care of his daughter. So I think it's great that he's contributing. He seems to be engaged, and the fact that his daughter is so excited to like spend time with him shows that he's actually showing up to spend time with her in a way that like doesn't indicate he's given her less than his best effort. So like this guy is like showing up with energy, consistency. It's hard to show up for someone after you've spent a whole day at work and be likable and fun. And it seems like he's crushing it. And yeah, to be competing with him is, I think, a little, yeah, it is an insecure thing. His comments about the reasons for why, you know daughters like fathers more or something like that. That's
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily true.
I don't think it's true, and I think he just made that up to make her feel better. And for me, I mean, I'm you know me, I'm not one to say things to just make people feel better. I'm gonna
It's
say
true.
the truth. Like, hey, that girl just likes her dad more than you, like a little bit, like just a little bit, just a little bit. But like it's funny because you hear parents and you'll ask parents, well, which one's your favorite kid, and they're like, oh, I love all my kids the same. No, no, I didn't ask like which kid do you love the most. I said which is your favorite, like which one do you like the most. And for you to lie and say you like both, like all of your kids the same, that's not true. And kids, at least they're very honest. You can tell they will let you know if they prefer one parent over the other. And in some cases it's, I prefer this parent in this circumstance and I prefer this parent in this circumstance. So I would just tell this mom, hey, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I mean, if you're worried about your daughter liking you, like, hey, she's gonna like dad less tomorrow or more tomorrow. It's going to change over time. There's a lot of years, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because that's not that's not my goal of parenting. Like, hey, make sure my kids love me the most or like me the most. Like, I know they like me more than the average Joe on the street. Like, he wants to be here with me and my wife. If he likes her more, fine. But I don't know. Anyway, what?
I think no, I think that's a good point that you raised about, you know, yeah, right now, today, you might be the favorite, or in this particular situation, you might be the favorite. But I think people's affection for people, and especially kids, can change on a dime. Like, when you think about like the people that you work with, like some days you're like really gelling with somebody, and some days like they annoy you, and then you kind of get on with somebody else better. And I think kids are the same. Like it's nothing. And I think the important thing is to really try and not to take it personally, because that can be, especially if you already have insecurities in that area, that can be really damaging, and put you in a headspace that you don't want to be in. And I can relate a little bit to this mom. I mean, there's definitely been situations where, I can think of a situation today where we were hanging out in the pool with our son, and like you were like holding him and stuff, and I went to hold him. He didn't want to be held by me. He wanted to be held by you. And there was a second there where I felt like a sting of like rejection. And then I was like, I actually thought about this article because we'd already been talking about it a little bit. And I was like, but it was like a second and it passed. And I think like it's a normal human response sometimes to feel a sting from rejection. But I think it's like, what do you do then? Like, do you keep thinking about it and going over and over in your head? Or is it like, okay, well, he wants to be with his dad. That's great. His dad wants to be with him. That's great. I can like go over here and talk to my friends and like not worry about it, you know?
Yeah, and I guess yeah, we should add some context. I mean, we were in a pool at a friend's house with a bunch of strangers, and what I've seen is when we're in places where there's a lot of people, a lot going on, adults, not kids, and he's trying to figure out like his place and who these people are. He will cling tightly to me, and I look at it just like, well, he just recognizes who has the most ability to protect him from danger. Like if these people are in fact like kind of scary to him, like I clearly can kick their butts. So I think he's just a smart kid. He's just recognizing where his opportunities are. So like he's not going to try to like go to me for like breast milk. It's a dry situation there.
I mean, now it's a dry situation for me too.
It's dry everywhere. Moving along.
Moving swiftly along.
So our next story is, what do you wish you would have done one last time before your first was born? The baby moon my wife and I were planning fell through, but we'll both still be taking a 4-day weekend for our anniversary in a couple of weeks. We're trying to figure out some staycation things to do, like going out to a nice restaurant and whatnot. But as a soon-to-be first-time dad, IDK what I'm most going to miss about pre-kid life. If you could roll back the clock and do a few things again before your first was born, what would be at the top of your list? For reference, we're in the Seattle area and my wife will be 33 to 34 weeks at that time, so no flying and nothing too crazy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think?
Okay. I feel like this is kind of like twofold. Like, I know he's asking about right now, like, what should they do right now that they couldn't do? Because there's also like a bunch of stuff that you would be fun to do, but you can't, right? Like, you can't drink, you can't get high, you can't do like crazy sporting things. Like, it's too late to like go skydiving or a bunch of crazy stuff like that. So, in the context of she's, 32 weeks pregnant, I think honestly, just like spending quality time with your partner and like really just using this time to like really connect and just make sure your relationship is in a really great place. Like, if there's, underlying issues with it, with anything or unresolved conflict, like this is a really good time to figure it out, because I think like once the baby comes, you're not going to really have any time for each other for the first, few months. Like, it's going to be crazy for a little bit. So just do the things that like you like doing together, whether that's just hanging out in bed and watching movies, or, going on a hike, or being spontaneous, or doing nothing. Because like it's the little things, right? It's like, sometimes like we wake up and it's like, I really want to lie in bed for like, I just want to lie in bed for like 30 minutes right now and not do anything. And it's like, no, you can't, because you've got to get up. You're responsible. You have a child in the next room who needs a diaper change, and like he needs to get up and he needs to eat. So it's like you can't just like lie around and do nothing. Um so yeah, maybe just like the simple things like that. What do you think?
Mm, I could not disagree more. No, look, the so this man, he was really asking two questions. He asked, the first question was like, well, the baby moon was scuttled, and what can we do together? But really, he's saying, let's zero in on what he's really talking about. But as a soon to be first time dad, IDK what I'm most going to miss about pre kid life. First of all, I don't know who this man is, so I don't know what his interests are, right? I don't know. Like he might be into live music, right? He might be the kind of guy that wants to be front and center at a I don't know, like a crazy heavy metal, rock band show or something, right? Or maybe he likes to, you know, get high and just kind of coast through the streets late at night, going from one one
Who
food
is
truck
this man you
to the
speak
to the
of?
next. I don't know. I mean, I'm just I don't know. But like I think that if you're asking me, it's figure out what is it that you just enjoy doing and you're not really going to have time to do for a while. I wouldn't really look at it as, oh, I wish I could do this one last time. I mean, there's no, to me, the things that I could do one last time, um, I feel like that ship has set sail like after I got married. I mean, it's like, there's kind of, no, I'm just saying like the things,
Wow.
no, really, like when you're talking about like, well, what kind of like one last time? I mean, what is this guy talking about doing? Like, I don't know. I'm just saying like
Well, I think he's looking for something for them to do together.
he was, but then he also said, I know what's in this man's head. He's 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 being like very politically correct with what he's writing. I mean, I think that this is like a very smart guy, and he's trying to not come off as like a selfish dude. That's what he sounds like to me. And look, and maybe I'm just a selfish person. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just projecting my selfishness on this poor guy in
This
Seattle.
poor innocent man in Seattle.
Yeah, but honestly, no, I think he really is trying to figure out what is it that he's going to wake up one day and miss and realize like, oh, I can't really do this anymore. And honestly, like I don't think it matters, oh because once the baby comes, you're not going to be thinking like, "Oh man, I'm so glad I did that thing one last time." You're you're not gonna think that. Like I cannot think of a thing that I've done in the past that I haven't done since where I'm like, "Oh man, I'm so glad I did that one last time." I mean, if you did it once, you've done it once. Like so what's like one what's what's one more time? Like, I mean, so just do what you want to do. Like to me, for me, like, what would I do? Like, it's like, what do I love? I love hanging out with my friends. So you might not see your friends for a while. So I'm going to go find some time to hang out with my friends. We're going to like, check out some music. Maybe we'll go watch a game. Maybe we'll have a game night. I don't know what we're going to do, but like hang out with like my guy friends because once the baby comes, like you kind of, to a certain extent, like that baby alienates like all of your existing relationships. And some people kind of hold a grudge for some reason. And honestly, I think it's a nice gift to your friends to say, oh, hey, you know what? I know I'm not going to see much of you once the baby comes, unless you just want to come by and pitch in like a good friend. But honestly, I just want to just, show you some love and spend some time with you, before this stage of my life comes where I'm really just not going to be anywhere near as available as I'd like to be. I think, have some fun, but he missed the baby moon. You can't do anything on the baby moon anyway. Like
Well, I think it's about spending time together and just like
do it at home.
yeah, but there's something nice about, like hanging out by a pool. Like, and like because now it's like, hanging out by a pool and not having any restrictions on your time. Like, when the baby comes, you're going to be on a schedule. So like I think just enjoy the freedom of like being spontaneous.
Enjoy the freedom of being
Yeah.
spontaneous. Look, if you haven't had your free time, I think we've talked about this in the past. If your free time and your fun time, I'm not saying it's over. It's just, you're in a different season. It's time for something different.
It's on hold for a bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if you, I don't know, go to college and your plan is to like party. Some people go to college and they party, and some people go to college and they study. And, you know,
I know what I did.
one outcome is better than the other, is all I'm saying. So, yeah. So you think that, this guy should spend more time with his wife before I think he should spend time with his friends and other people he's never going to see again. Um,
Well, I mean, yeah, if
no,
I'm not saying
no,
he shouldn't spend time with his friends, but
I'm just recapping.
he was asking about what they can do together.
He was asking about what the. Oh, okay. So I guess I didn't answer that part of his question. What you can do together. This guy's not watching this video, but uh, anyone who's in this similar predicament, yeah, what can you do together?
What you like to do together.
Yeah, make dinner. Like you can go to dinner, but honestly, it's a really cool thing, especially if you don't know how to cook. I mean, I think I can cook pretty well, but if you don't know how to cook, like learn how to cook a dish. Um, learning something new and trying something new together, I think is an interesting thing because, well, one, it's like, well, maybe it's something that you've always wanted to do, but you just haven't done. Like, I don't know, make sushi together or whatever. Like, get to the point where you're really good at making sushi. Have you ever made sushi? Oh, because you don't eat. Yeah, you
No.
didn't. You weren't. She was vegetarian for the longest and still doesn't eat raw fish.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get there. Making sushi is very difficult, but also super rewarding when you eat it. And I don't know, maybe there's in there in Seattle,
You
so
could start a podcast together.
they can start a podcast. And you
It's
know
fun.
what?
It's highly recommended,
Yeah,
actually.
start a podcast, and then once the baby comes, you could probably still do the podcast. I mean, maybe you do the podcast when the baby's crying, and you just
Just ignore the baby.
cover the baby up so you don't get flagged by YouTube's kid controls or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, no, really, like, there's not a whole lot you can do. It's honestly, I think it's one of those like things that I think people reach um, for some comfort when things are changing. It's like I need to like do something so I can hold on to like some part of like my old life, and it's like just let it go. How about that? Just let it go. Just enjoy yourselves. Spend time with your wife. I know when we went on the baby moon, you look at the list of all the excursions and activities and literally couldn't do anything. And it's like, oh, we could go to the ocean, except we're in Cabo and the surf is like
You can't swim
a
in the ocean.
nightmare. You could die just by like stepping foot in the water. And the sand beach sand. I mean, it's not my thing, but like, yeah, go to pool,
Yeah.
go to brunch. Uh, I don't. Like, I don't honestly like. It doesn't matter. Like you're not gonna remember any of this. Like, and
Yeah, just relax.
yeah, it's not gonna matter. It doesn't matter. Um, to some of y'all it does, and I'm sorry if I didn't acknowledge that, but yeah. You, any last?
No, I think we kind of did this one to death.
We did it to death. Oh boy, that means we've been talking too long, y'all. Are we gonna have this episode under an hour or nah?
Stay tuned in to find out.
Stay tuned, y'all. Don't go because this
Don't
next
leave
one's
us.
this next one's really good. So real quick, I gotta remind you all to like this video. Honestly, likes don't really matter. Love it if you subscribe. Love it if you watch the entire video. Love it even more is after you watch this video, watch another video. I don't know. Watch a
We got
short.
3 now. We got 3 long. We got 3 podcasts.
3. This is episode 3. So there's 3 podcasts. There's some old videos there you can check out, and there's some shorts. So there's all kinds of stuff, and there's gonna be more. So just
There's gonna be more. So
turn on
stick
notifications. Anyway, the next one is, I think, pretty good.
Okay.
Would you like to read it, or do you want me to read it?
I can read it. Okay. Partner is making it harder to parent, and outings are hell. Every time I go out with my son, who's 16 months, and my partner, it is utter hell. Yet, if I go out with my son and my grandparents, it's fine. If I go out with just me and my son, it's fine. When me and my partner and my son go out, my partner gets very on edge at every single whinge my child makes, and it makes the situation 1,000 times worse. He has completely unrealistic expectations of how a child is supposed to behave. He gets wound up so easily by him whinging, and my partner then gets me frustrated when it all could have been avoided if we all stayed calm. He seems to think that if, for example, we're out for a meal, one small whinge from my son will ruin everyone else's meal at the restaurant. He's so worried about what other people are thinking and gets so tense, and it really adds fuel to the fire when situations could be handled so much easier. He's also started to get very angry with our son. Today in the car, he was moaning a lot, and I know how frustrating it can be because I deal with it every day, whereas he doesn't. But we're on holiday at the moment, so he can't escape him. During the car journey, he screamed at the top of his lungs to my son to shut up, and it honestly made me scared, so I dread to think what it did to our son. It breaks my heart that my son has to hear his caregiver scream at him in this way. I can't get out of my mind what this must have done to his development, as shouting at this level is so damaging to children, let alone a baby that has recently turned 1. I'm at my wit's end, and I'm finding that parenting is more enjoyable and easier when he's at work, and I'm doing it on my own. Is this a sign for us to split up? I want what's best for my son, and I don't want him being screamed at, but my partner's outbursts and general tense behavior is ruining my life. I just want to add, my partner has never once done a bedtime routine, very rarely changed a nappy, very rarely makes his dinners or gets him a drink. It's me who's the primary carer, and I do understand that my partner works long shifts at work, so I'm happy to do all this, but surely it shouldn't be easier when he's not around.
Is that the end of this? That's the end.
That's the end, yeah.
Um, I've got some slightly related thoughts.
Slightly related.
Well, yeah, like because you said whinge like it was a real word, and I was like, oh, because when I read this, I thought this woman,
Whinge is a real word.
damn,
She's obviously British because she's saying
right?
nappy instead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have said a word that people say, and I'm thinking that must be like she must be British, and then she said, yeah, she said nappy. She said something else that just kind of grabbed my attention. Oh, holiday. We don't holiday in the US. We're never on holiday.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, vacation.
Yeah, we have vacations, and that's, if you're lucky.
Yeah, you don't really do vacations in the US.
Yeah, naughty. Anyway, did you want to go first on this one, or
Sure. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like, yeah, this guy sounds like he's got some sort of issues, whether it's like anger issues or unrealistic expectations. He obviously isn't really spending that much time trying to bond with his kid. Um, Sounds like maybe he's got some other stuff going on. Like their relationship doesn't seem like it's in a great place. I can understand why she's getting frustrated for sure. Yeah, it seems like there's a communication breakdown in their relationship, but it's not cool that he's like taking it out on his baby and shouting at his baby. I mean, that is going to resolve nothing. Shouting at a 1 year old and just reacting emotionally like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So my thought is, from what I'm reading here, it sounds like she has not confronted her husband about this. Uh, and honestly, this is, I know this is like an overgeneralization, and I don't want to offend our
Oh, here we go.
our
What's he gonna
British
say?
following, because we appreciate. I mean, 10% of the people who watch are in the UK, so we truly appreciate. But I'm just gonna say, like, what I've noticed is there's like this aversion to being confrontational, unless it's like Piers Morgan. Like, I don't know what's going on with that guy, but
Please don't use him as like a benchmark for British people because that's highly
Piers
offensive.
Morgan is like the most confrontational British person I've ever seen. Anyway, I don't want to get into politics, but yeah, no, like it seems like one of those things where you should just, I mean, you're the child's mom. You should say something. Start by just saying something. Hey, look, you can't talk to a baby like that. That's not okay. Um, should they split up? No, maybe you should go to counseling. I mean, he should probably go to counseling on his own, because it seems like he has some anger issues, and NHS. I mean, y'all got like, isn't that
It's
free? He can
free.
get free counseling.
Yeah, I mean, you might have to wait a while,
I
but
might have to wait a while, but the baby's going to be around for 18 years, so
true.
um, so you've got all these free resources. I think he needs to use them because yeah, he does have some the unrealistic expectations. He's not really taking care of the kid at all, and I'm not saying you don't want to cut him out.
No,
You don't want to do that. You want to give him the opportunity to correct things. And for me, what I would say is this is important. So, listen to this right here. This is like a fantastic idea. It might not be, but
I feel like we should zoom in on you or
I,
something.
I
Like,
think it will happen when I edit this. This is important.
listen up.
Anytime you want someone to change their behavior, do something different, you must think about what it is that they want, not what it is that you want. And it's a little bit of an exercise in, manipulation, a little bit. That's marketing, sales, right? Like you're kind of getting into their head a little bit. But this father, I don't know what he wants. Um, but I would spend some time thinking about what does he truly want? How does he? Because some people are very concerned about how they're seen um, by others. He might be concerned about spending all this time being bitter and then having a son who grows up hating him. I don't know what it is, but to me, it's like I'm always looking for what do you want, and then I say, okay, I believe you want this. So maybe he wants to have a son who is a high performer, produces, like has a high income, has a happy family, blah, 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 right? So, okay, you want your kid to be productive. I think most parents want their kids to leave the house and be fruitful and productive. Okay, honey. I can't do the accent. Honey.
Is that supposed to be a British
No,
accent?
it's not. I'm not doing an accent. I'm just I'm
Oh.
I'm I'm just pretending to be a woman, but just not a British woman. I should not try to pretend to be a woman. She should just say, look, I know she's been having some difficulty with our son, Todd. Let's call him Todd.
Todd. That's not a very British name.
Oh, um,
George. Let's go with George.
Ben is Ben,
Let's go with George.
George, Georgie.
Georgie Porgy.
G- I've noticed that you've been really a little on edge with Georgie, and I think your expectations are a little high for how he should behave in public as a 1 year old and how he should behave in a car as a 1 year old. And and here's the thing. Um, it's possible that you are right about how he should be behaving. It's possible. I don't think so. But like maybe you've read some things that point to how this baby should be acting, and if you've read something that's not aligned with how he's acting, please show it to me and we can talk about that. But from everything that I've seen, he is behaving like a baby, and the way you're behaving is like someone who wants your baby to grow up to be a grown man who cannot stand his father. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? Not only will he not be able to stand you, but you're going to teach him how to be a father in the process of him learning to hate you. So not only will he dislike you, but he will behave like you, which is creating the risk of him doing exactly what you're doing all over again.
Mm.
And what a horrible thing that would be, right? Can you imagine watching him raise your grandson, treating him in a way that makes your grandson hate your son? and
Generational trauma
and
right
realize
there.
and realizing that it was your fault. Like you go to work because you care. You really, I mean, you put in effort because you care, because you want to provide. But if you provide resources for him, but then you cut him off at the knees with your horrible attitude because something in your life is out of sync or whatever, you're literally wasting your time. I mean, you may as well just like give up. Don't say that part. I wouldn't say like, but seriously, like, why show up to work if you're going to undermine your efforts with the way you behave with your kid?
Mm,
So I would just say, look, I mean, if you think work sucks, think about how much work sucks when you realize it was all for naught. I don't know.
yeah. It also does sound like he is very concerned with what people think of him, which is a problem. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
worried about the other people in the restaurant. I mean, obviously, like, you don't want your kid to cause a scene in a restaurant, but it doesn't sound like that's what he was doing. It sounds like he was just being a baby.
Oh yeah, here's a pro tip for any dad who's worried about what people are thinking in the restaurant. Here's what you do. Pro tip. Uh just pick the kid up, walk him around, comfort him, soothe him. If you're worried about what people are thinking, you know what? I'll tell you what they're thinking once you pick your baby up and start walking him around and soothing him and comforting him. They're thinking, "Wow, what a great dad."
That's not the pro tip I thought you were going to give. I
Oh, what do
thought
you, what do you think I was
I
going to
thought the
say?
pro tip was get him some bread because we recently
Oh,
discovered this trick when we take our son to a restaurant is he really likes chewing on the bread and playing
oh
with the
yeah.
bread.
I mean, every kid's different, but yeah, if you want to try this, I mean, give him some bread because if you think about how bread works, it's squishy, but like there's no juice that comes out of it, so it's not messy, right? Unless it's got like a bunch of butter on it. They can tear it. Babies love tearing things, so it's like this tactile thing that they also can put in their mouth, and it's delicious. And it's something that they can't really eat quickly, but it's harder for them to choke on it. I mean, I guess some babies are going to choke on it, but you'll be there, so you can monitor it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, bread. Bread's a great distraction. Not a phone. Bread,
Bread.
but also pick them up, walk them around. Put him in your lap and kind of feed him while he's sitting on your lap. Are you going to get much food in your mouth? No, but again, like, you're building a bond with him, which is something that this father seems to have like missed by not changing diapers, by not really feeding him, being there for him. And again, for someone who's really worried about what other people think about him, you know the negative stuff, people aren't really thinking that much about because that's just normal. The babies cry, that's normal. But what's not normal is a dad getting up and just like comforting his child, carrying him, walking him around, taking him outside, taking time to like go the extra mile. People love that stuff. So if you're that guy and you want to like impress other people, then go for it.
Also, try
Better to
and
just like, do it for your child, but
yeah, and try and not be concerned with what people think.
yeah, try and
Really,
not. But you know what? There are people
that's
who
a long term goal, I guess. Short
people
term
have a hard
goal.
time. So in a world where this guy cannot control his desire to not upset other people. And again, this I feel like this is a British thing. Just saying. I mean,
Wow.
I, I'm sorry. There is a desire to not make a scene, a desire to not
Well, that is true. That's
it's
true.
a very it's so this is like going to tell a whole country of people like don't worry about what people think of you. I would just say, well, look, if you're going to worry about what people think of you, then have some perspective. Think about ways to do something where it completely offsets the annoyance of your child crying, and then it's like, oh wow, that guy's really trying. He's doing his best. Look at him. He's really doing his best. Can't fault this guy. It's this the kid. It's the kid's fault. Clearly, the dad is like doing everything he can. Look at him. I don't know. I mean, it's just try some stuff. Experiment. You see what works.
Yeah, I think the problem is he doesn't seem to want to try, but
Yeah, he seems like a miserable guy.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So he probably needs some therapy. Probably could use some friends. Oh, hey, here's the thing. I know I said therapy. I started with therapy, but the reality is exercise.
Exercise, yes.
Exercise is a cheat code.
Yes, he needs to do some exercise. Get outside, go for a walk, go
Yeah,
for a run, go for a swim,
yeah,
like get the heart racing.
yeah. It'll flip your attitude like that, and you'll live longer, which is good for you and everyone who loves you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All right.
la- I was gonna ask last thoughts, but sounds like we're ready to
I think,
keep it
yeah,
rolling.
I think we put a bow on it.
All right. This one is this one. I like this one. It's like a heartwarming one. Um, so I'm gonna read it. Found out my girlfriend is pregnant. I never wanted kids, and I've had an abortion with my ex-girlfriend. Even with my current girlfriend, we planned to abort it if she ever got pregnant. Found out yesterday during our anniversary dinner she's pregnant, and it's been 4 weeks. I don't want to abort it. I want to keep it, and I'm so happy. I cried
Oh,
yesterday when she told me. She said she's scared, but she wants to keep it too. She doesn't want me telling anyone for the next few months, so I guess I'm telling complete strangers online. I'm gonna be a dad! All
yay!
caps. As I type this, I'm tearing up. I'm not crying, you're crying. Uh, Thanks, guys, for listening. If anyone has any tips on how to be the greatest dad possible or how to prepare, I am all ears. Thanks again, everyone.
Oh, I love this.
This is the best one. I mean, I probably should have led with it. We were like, we should lead with something that's a little bit controversial, but like, why not lead with something
Warm and fuzzy.
warming, heartwarming? Like,
Yeah, that's really great. I think like we've talked a lot about not just tonight, but I feel like it's kind of been a theme with like women having issues with their partners like not showing up and being lazy or going out for like hours and hours on end and not pulling their weight. And this is like just really refreshing to hear how excited this guy is. And he's asking for advice on how to be a great dad. I mean, I think he's already there, right? Like he's the enthusiasm and the want, the desire to like be a dad, especially coming from a place of like somebody that's actively not wanted kids in the past. Like I think the most important thing he can do right now is just like be there for his, is it fiance, girlfriend?
girlfriend, yeah.
Be there for his girlfriend, like make plans for their future. You know, do they live together? Are they going to get married? Like how's it going to work when the baby comes? Just like setting up the environment for having the easiest possible time with the child and making sure the child is comfortable and got everything they need, like figuring out their, work situations, all of that stuff. But I mean, it sounds like he's going to be a great dad. Like, and I think this kid's going to be really lucky if he keeps that same energy that he has now. Like when the kid comes, like he's got nothing to worry about.
Yeah. So yeah, very heartwarming. And I would say, just to answer his question, any tips on how to be the greatest dad possible or how to prepare? I think that, at least for me, the way I look at it is, you guys are going to hear me say this a lot. I've said it so many times to Gemma and other people, but I, people want to know what it's like to be a dad, and I compare it to being a college athlete, and it's basically like having two jobs. So you have your day job, school, that you have to do, and then you've got your other job, playing the sport that you really love to do. Uh, School sucks because it's school and you just someone's making you do it. But playing the sport sometimes sucks a lot because it is just hard. It's like it's just brutal. Like there's pain, there's suffering, there's bleeding, there's like sweat. It's a lot, but you're never in this moment where you're like, well, I shouldn't say never. Some people don't love it and they want out, but most people who play college sports are like, there's nothing else I'd rather do. And I think it's the same way with raising a kid. Like it's painful. There's like plenty of like just dead ends, wrong turns, rejection, confusion. And at the end of the day, like, what would I rather be doing? Oh, do I want to go back to like, clubbing and, you know, whatever? Like, it just doesn't compare. It's a little crazy to think like, man, I put this off so long, right? So what I would say is, uh, to be the best dad possible, the greatest dad possible, you need to uh, approach every moment with a certain level of energy that is essentially like, I am willing to do literally whatever it takes to get the job done. Like, and I'm going to do it with enthusiasm. I'm going to do it with creativity. I'm going to just, and whatever someone tells me I should expect to go wrong, if there's a possibility that it can go exactly the way I want it to go, then I'm going to pray that God delivers the best outcome for me, regardless of what happens for everyone else. I'm asking for what's best for me and my family, and I'm showing up, and I'm never going to, and put your phone away. Like, put your phone away. um if you're feeding your child late at night, if you're playing with him or her, the phone doesn't need to be there. Give all of your attention. I mean, we're talking about, a very, very short period of time in your life. Just think about how fast 5 years has gone by in your life. You think about it, it's like you can't even remember what movie you watched like in like 2020, right? Like name like two movies you watched in 2020. You can't. Like it just blows by. So uh one day we were finding out about COVID, and the next day we're celebrating, being free kind of, and then the next day we've forgotten all about it. Meanwhile, people still dying of COVID. Like it is crazy.
Yeah.
So like, have some perspective over like, well, the importance of being in the moment, but also not letting the intensity of the moment overcome you with like, anger and frustration and, regret and blame and all these like ugly emotions that can easily crop up when like things just aren't going your way, and you're feeling like, well, maybe my partner, if she were better, or what, or he were, she were better. Like, if she were better, then maybe things would be different. Leave all that aside and focus on, what can I do to be better. And a lot of times asking that question is just as simple as just like watching your child and just paying attention to what your child is indicating to you, what he or she needs. I think it's very straightforward. But the confusion, I think, comes when your expectations for how you think it's going to go clash with the reality. And if it turns out that you thought you were going to get the baby to sleep in 30 minutes, but it took an hour and 30 minutes, now that's a thing that you remember, and you're like, oh man, is this how it's going to be forever? No, nothing that you experience will be like that forever. So show up with a by any means necessary mentality, a whatever it takes mentality, and you will dominate. Because I'm going to tell you, 90+% of the other parents out there are not thinking about it like that. They're thinking about what they have to still have to do, that this thing that they're doing is keeping them from. And 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 if you really take perspective, keep perspective in mind, you'll understand that most of the tasks that we think is going to take us forever to do, they just don't. Like, we just build them up into like some like horrible thing
Yeah.
in our minds, when, you know, like, oh, how long is it going to take me to edit this video? It's going to take me forever. No, it's going to take like 2 hours, maybe.
Yeah, more
Like,
time is spent procrastinating a lot of the time than actually just doing what you need to do.
yeah. So like, don't let your baby take the blame for your unwarranted like fears and worries around not having enough time to do what you need to do. You'll have time to sleep. You only need 3 hours anyway. All right. So, you know, you only you only need all the science that says everyone needs 8 hours of sleep to like exist. It's not true.
Yeah, but 3 hours is.
Uh,
Mm,
you,
I need more than 3 hours of
have
sleep.
y'all noticed that people continue to live after their babies don't sleep? Like, no one's dropping dead. Like, show me the articles where someone's dropping dead from like sleep deprivation. I mean, I know you can like get in a car accident or whatever, but like, but when they talk about the accident, they're not like linking it to the baby, you know. Anyway, all right. So I'm sorry, it's got a little dark.
Tangent here.
Sorry. Uh, yeah. Uh, yeah. Just keep asking questions. Be curious. Be flexible. Be adaptable. Like, don't act as if you know everything, because, you know, one day you know it and then the next day it's changed, and whatever you knew yesterday doesn't matter anymore. And just be happy about that, because that means your kid's brain is developing, and like, that's exciting. Like, you have to show up and be creative. I gotta outsmart a 1 year old. I gotta trick this kid into wanting to sit in this chair. Like, how can I do it? It's fun. Turn it into a game. Turn it into a game. Anyway, um, any thoughts from you on any more last thoughts? Any parting shots to this awesome dad to be?
No, I think he's got it. I really think he's got it. I think wanting it and, yeah, like you said, like being prepared to do whatever it takes is, I mean, that's it, really. If you've got that, then you're sorted.
Okay, we have another story. We've got
It's our last one, right?
we can make it our last. I promised six, so we can do this one quickly and
Is
do the
this number
next one.
6?
Nope, that's five.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're taking our sweet time, but
Yeah, we are.
maybe we'll speed this one up.
Okay. Troubles with my wife. Okay, so we've got a different perspective here. This is a husband. Okay, hello. This is going to be pretty personal, so I will delete within the next few hours. I'm having a hard time with my wife. I'm the husband. She only breastfeeds. I need advice on how to be a better husband and dad. I work 40 hours a week, so my wife is with the baby most of the week. Our 6-week-old hardly sleeps and is colicky. Our schedule is that I stay up 5 hours and then she stays up 5 hours at night. I give her a bottle once during these 5 hours. On Saturdays, I try my best to clean the house for her, then take the baby. When I'm done, I feel like I'm really trying my best. I even asked her yesterday if I'm doing a good job, and she says yes. Today, she said I'm not doing a good job and wants to go back to her country to get help from her family with the baby. She's desperate and has no family here. She said that if she would have known it would have been like this, she wouldn't have had a baby with me. That broke my heart. She says she doesn't want to have to tell me what to do and I need to act on things. I feel like that's what I've been doing. Last night, she was feeling like her mastitis was coming on, so she wanted to breastfeed through the night. I'm a heavy sleeper and didn't wake up. I asked her why she didn't wake me and said she hates telling me what to do and that I need to figure things out. Parenting and being a spouse is very hard. Do things get better when the baby gets older? I want to help. I do admit that I'm a little slow with certain things, like realizing things. I hate that about myself. She doesn't take "it'll be okay" or "I'm sorry" well at all. She hates it. Anyway, thanks for listening. Yeah, it sounds like this guy is trying, but maybe she's obviously not getting what she wants out of him, and it doesn't seem like she's really telling him what she wants. Um, it also seems like she's kind of struggling. It seems like she doesn't have any family around, and that she's just kind of struggling with being a new mom and the breastfeeding and mastitis, which is horrible, by the way. It's incredibly painful, and very stressful. And it's easy to kind of get worked up about it and I can understand why she's in a bad place, but it sounds like they just really need to have a better conversation. Like, I don't know if they're really communicating very well about this. Maybe they need to see a therapist. I'm not sure if having I think people a lot of the time think like, oh, everything would be so much better if my family was around. I don't know if that's always the case. I mean, like, we don't have family around. Um and I don't think sometimes I think it's for the best, honestly. Like,
Yeah. I mean, well, family around is not going to help the fact that the baby doesn't go to sleep. So mom, wife is upset because, I mean, yeah, the mastitis pain, that's a problem. There's like solutions for that, but they're not, I mean, how well they work, I don't know. Um, but when it comes to the baby not sleeping, that just seems to be the biggest problem outside of the fact that she just doesn't really seem to like him that much, just from what I hear. And it seems like he doesn't like himself very much. Like when I hear what did he say? Uh yeah, I want to help. I do admit that I'm a little slow with certain things, like realizing things. I hate that about myself. I will never say I hate anything about myself. If there's things I want to change, yeah, there's lots of stuff I want to change, but I don't hate anything about myself. I love myself. So this is a guy who doesn't love himself the way he should, and he's with a person who doesn't really like him very much. And I'm not trying to like this is not I'm not joking. Like I'm like not like this is real. Like this is real. This happens all the time. And I think the best thing for this guy to do is to start working on loving himself. So here's a book for any of you out here who are listening to this and are like feeling like you kind of relate to this guy. There's a book. It's called "Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It," or "Love Yourself as If Your Life Depends on It." This book takes like literally an hour and a half to read, and it's fantastic because it really just helps you to think about what comes out of your mouth, how you let people treat you, and it's just so you always ask yourself the question of, if I truly and deeply loved myself, would I complete the sentence? Would I let this person talk to me like this? Would I say something like this about myself? Would I do this? Would I do that? Whatever, right? If I truly and deeply loved myself, would I X? And so start by loving yourself. Start by teaching yourself to love yourself. It's hard, but if you really like kind of zero in with a strategy, you can do that. Um, I talked about exercising before. Start exercising, start working out. You start getting some muscles. You start looking better. You start liking the way you look, and guess what? Your wife starts liking you more too. It's people like you more when you like you more. Period. If you don't like you, people don't like you, and then they start treating you however they want to treat you, and that's what's happening here. And then the part about the baby, I mean, eventually the baby's going to sleep, but if you want like some tips on how to get your baby to sleep, check out the video linked right here. I'm linking the video right here in the upper right hand corner, and watch this video. And it talks about all the ways that we use to help our baby get to sleep. And I'll just give you a quick preview of it. Some of you might not like this, but some of you will. One, we use this resource called Moms on Call. There'll be a link to that in the description. Another thing we use was what's it called? The little
the
Wendy
Windy, the
Wendy gas
Frida
passer
baby
by Free.
Windy.
Yeah, we use that, so it helps babies like pass gas. Also, in our baby's case, grossness alert. It helped him just get poop out. Like we literally had him. there was a funnel that just helped poop come out of his,
Just
and
make sure you stand back when you do it.
unbelievable amounts of poop. And you want to know, like, it's like, oh, the baby just keeps crying, I don't understand why. Maybe the baby needs to poop, and maybe you need to help the baby poop. And
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So the windy gas passer also is a poop passer. um and then the last one, it's like, yeah, you know try prayer practice, right? Try getting into a habit of talking to God about your problems, because there are things that are happening behind the scenes that you have no control or power over, and you need help. And if you're over here just trying to do it your own, like winging it, good luck. Not saying you can't do it, but good luck to you. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept that brief, right? Look at that.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Brief-ish for me, pretty brief.
Briefish, yeah.
Okay, we've got one more. We've got one more. I can hear the cries. I can hear the sadness. Everyone is so sad. It's almost over. It's almost over. Okay, this is one of yours. I'll read it though.
Okay. I'm trying to remember which one it is.
Well, you don't have to try to remember, because
I'm about to tell me.
I'm gonna tell you, unless I just insert something else, because I feel like inserting things. But anyway, okay. Oof. Spouse's hobby too much. Spouse's hobby too much. My husband has an athletic hobby he really enjoys. He will often leave for up to 5 hours at a time, and then later will be too tired for him. Family. I think she meant to say for his family. That's just me and our child. He is also in a bad career situation, and this hobby takes a lot of time away from trying to improve that. In the meantime, I'm making twice as much, keeping us afloat, and taking care of our house/young child while he is off doing his thing. I have hobbies that are very important to me too, but I usually wait until our son is in bed. There are some fun things I'd love to do, but there's no time, and our child needs a lot of attention at this age. What are people's thoughts on this situation? He says he needs the hobby for his mental health, and the same goes for the naps and or resting while I'm taking care of stuff. He often makes snide comments when I ask him to do I think she meant to say to do stuff, but she said ghost. Anyway, when I ask him to do stuff, like I never let him just relax. I'm exhausted. Okay, I'm gonna go first on this one, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
I wish she would tell us more.
Yeah, what's the hobby?
Athletic hobby? Like, what is that? What
I
is?
think it's golf.
Oh,
Because
oh.
that's something that that's like time intensive, right?
It could be anything. I mean, my dad used to play basketball on the weekends, and he'd play basketball for hours. Like, he'd be gone on Saturdays, like for like 5-6 hours. I mean, because you've got to wait to get on the court, and then if you lose, you're gonna have to wait while other teams are playing to get back on the court. So it's time consuming. But I think we just don't have enough information. Like, how frequently is she says he will often leave for up to 5 hours at a time. What does often mean?
Like every week, once a week, probably maybe.
You think once a week, or like often? To me, I don't know, y'all. What's often? Like, to me, often is like, I,
Couple of times a week.
I don't know. I don't know what it means in the context of like being away for your athletic hobby. But like, she says that she pursues her hobbies once the child is sleeping. Well, if he has an athletic hobby, like, you really can't pursue that.
Maybe he's going to football games or something.
I mean, well, it seems like he's performing, he's playing in something. I don't think he's watching. Like, I don't know if it's a hobby to. I can't call, like. I think watching is you have to be active if it's a hobby. You have to be like
Really?
like actually participating. Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. I think you could say like going to a sporting game is my hobby. It's like going to movies is a hobby.
Is
Or
it?
I think so.
I think it's an interest. I don't know if it's a hobby.
I mean,
Maybe she shouldn't even call it a hobby in the first place, because athletic hobby is just like he just plays a sport.
I feel like she's created like all of this secrecy around this hobby.
Yeah, yeah. It's very. I'm confused, but I will say this. Yeah, I think that this one seems like a little easy, right? Like
Yeah.
the child. Oh, wait a minute. Child is 4 to 9 years old. Does she say how old the child is?
Oh, I assumed it was a baby.
It's not a baby. It's not. It's not. It's not a baby. Like this is a school age child. We don't have enough information. I feel like I don't have enough information. You know what? I'm gonna let you
Well,
go,
I
and
mean,
I'll
I
think
think
about this a little bit.
it comes I think it's like prioritization and balance, right? And like having a conversation about, okay, you want to do this. How can we meet your needs? How can we meet my needs? How can we meet the needs of our kid? Like can we figure out a solution where you do your hobby and have your time, I do my hobbies and have my time. We're making sure we're both spending time with our kid. Our kid is getting what they need. Like, I think that's the first step, right? Like, and if he needs to cut back from 5 to 6 hours at a time, which does sound like a lot, I think that's probably a reasonable request if he's not really spending that much time with his kid. Um, or is there a way to like incorporate the kid into the hobby? I mean, it's kind of hard because we don't know what it is, but if it's playing basketball or something, like, does the kid have any interest in that? If not, like, is there another sport that he could play with the kid? Is there something they could do together as a family? Like, are you offsetting the time that you're spending doing your thing with planning a fun day out to the zoo or something like that with your family? So I think there's ways to like for everyone to get what they want. But it sounds like she thinks he's been a little selfish, and just taking this time without really thinking about ways to include the family or to give her what she wants or the kid what they want to.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a tough one for me because you know they both work. She makes twice as much as him, and she says, keeping us afloat. Um, but if he's working a job that what she says a bad career situation, and it's impacting his mental health, uh, I'm not saying I don't know how often he's going to play his mystery sport or possibly watch the sport. Maybe the hobby is like he's actually like crafting the basketballs. He's like creating them in a factory somewhere. I don't
Who
know.
knows?
Um, but I think it's a tough one because this guy seems to be using this time not for typical hobby reasons. It's like he's using this time to like keep from losing it. And if he's saying, if the man is saying that this is necessary for his mental health, what is he not saying? Is what I'm thinking.
Mm,
What is what is he not saying? Because we know she's making twice as much as him. They're both working, but she makes twice as much, and he clearly hates what he's doing. And it seems like he doesn't have a whole lot of options right now, or maybe he's just not like thinking about his options very well, possibly because he's not in a good mental health state. But for him to say, I need this for my mental health, tells me that he's probably got some like real issues. And I guess, the question is, well, what is it that like you said, like compromise? I think there's some opportunities for compromise. I mentioned that my dad used to go play basketball on Saturdays. I would have loved it if he took me at an earlier age. And on top of that, I would have loved it if he actually showed me how to play basketball, like while we were just
mm,
like waiting, right? We're just waiting. Show me how to dribble the ball, shoot the ball, whatever. Um, and maybe his kid's not interested in the sport. That's possible too. Or maybe the kid is literally 4 and a little too young to go.
mm,
Because like once you're playing, like who's watching the kid? Um, but I think this one seems like super easy, and it's like this guy's a bum or whatever, but it also doesn't, because I think there's a lot of people all over the world, you know, wealthy countries, not as wealthy countries, whatever, who are doing what they have to do to live, and sometimes what they have to do is like so soul crushing that they need an escape. And in the case of a guy who's turning to playing a sport as opposed to getting wasted, drinking, doing drugs, you know, I'm hesitant to be like, this guy's a bum. I just think that there's probably an opportunity for a little bit more creativity in helping him find a career path that he actually enjoys.
Maybe something related to his hobby.
Maybe, and he might need some type of re-education, which would probably further strain their finances. But I'm, you know, and maybe it's just like cutting it down a little bit. So if it is golf, maybe you just go like 9 holes instead of 18. Or maybe you can play mini golf like we did
Yeah.
yesterday. It wasn't very long, and it didn't take long for me to
Oh,
make
okay.
short work of this one right here, who has
I came
golfing in her
I came in
jeans.
second place.
She came in second place.
I was very proud of my efforts.
I was too. Anyway, yeah, I think this is a really tough one, and we don't have nearly enough information, and it sounds like she's mostly frustrated with, um you know just him not having time for the family, and it's like the child needs a lot of attention at this age. So this kid's probably like 4.
Mm.
Yeah, he's probably 4. So I don't know. uh Naps and or resting. Yeah, just need to. I always wonder, like, how often are the people who are saying that they're exhausted and they're having all these like issues, how often do they articulate these things exactly the way they articulate it on Reddit?
Maybe they show the Reddit post. Maybe they send the Reddit post to.
Nah, don't do that. Don't do that.
No, I'm saying maybe that's what they do, though. I don't know.
I mean, that's an emotional terrorist. If if you what a I mean that's some next level, like mind. I'm not gonna say the word, but y'all know what I'm thinking. Yeah, if you're writing up, you can't like just say like what's wrong, to your spouse, and then you're just online, you're writing up what your true thoughts are, and then you get a bunch of comments, and everybody's like, he's horrible, and your thoughts also are like, slanted towards your side of the story, right? Like, we don't know his side of the story at all. um we don't know enough. But and then everyone's just like, oh, this guy's terrible, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, here, look, this is what I wrote, this is what people are
I wonder
saying.
how many people do that, though.
I know people do. I believe people do it. I truly do. I truly do. And I think that the laziest form of of trying to make your point is looking for a cosigner. Like, if you cannot stitch together like an argument or a thought about like what it is that you're feeling, and you are leveraging other people's viewpoints to like bolster like your opinion, and you're kind of just bringing that to that other person without them, even knowing that you're going to do that's lazy. That's super disrespectful. I mean, if anything, if you want to make it fun, well, let's both craft a stupid thing on Reddit, and then like
Have a
see
Reddit off.
and see what we get. But like, let's make it fair. If we're gonna bring in cosigners, I mean, if you're gonna argue a point. If you have an issue, I think you just like, it's just better to just like, just be open up front, you know, like let's, but people do it all the time.
Yeah.
Another thing, I'm sorry, what were we going to say?
Nothing.
Nothing. Another thing that people say or do a lot of is it's like when they have an issue, they'll point out how someone else is acting or what someone else is doing as a way to get someone to change, the person that they want to change their behavior, as a way to like prompt that or spur some change. And I think that's like poor form as well. Leave everyone else out of it. Why can't you do this like so and so does?
Mm.
Ugh, come on, come on. No, no.
Can do better than that.
You can do better than that. It's lazy. It's lazy. It's not effective. But mostly it's lazy. Like, we can do better than that, y'all. Anyway, that's it. So
That's all we got.
if you've watched this long, thank you so much. Why not just do a little bonus and subscribe if you haven't subscribed?
Yeah,
watch another video. We appreciate any time that you give us.
Any comments?
We want the comments.
Yeah, tell us what you think.
We need to remind people to comment more often,
earlier than the end.
Well, we mentioned it earlier, but we should like remind them like every story.
That's true.
Look at you guys. You're getting our editing notes live. Anyway.
Yeah.
We never know how to
How do you end? How do you really end?
How do you end when it seems like it should go on forever? Here's how we can do it. It is 10:32 p.m. our time.
It's past my bedtime.
We are sleepy.
We're tired.
That light in our eyes,
so bright.
It's bright and it's kind of hurting my eyes a little bit.
Yes, it's very bright.
It's making me want to close my eyes.
But this is show business, you know.
But
this
like
is how it is.
But as long as the words we were saying weren't making you want to close your eyes,
then we did a good job.
We're happy. Okay.
All right. Ciao for now.
Deuces.
Peace.
Cut. Mm.